This entire day of eating is 1,959 calories. This large Red Rooster meal is also 1,959 calories. If you're always hungry and you can't lose any weight, even if you feel like you don't eat that much, this is why. In this video, I'll show you the 3 key things that you need to nail in order to lose body fat now and keep it off for good. And don't worry, because it doesn't involve not eating fast food, eating a bunch of weird shit that you don't like, or being super restricted. And this is the exact structure that all of our clients use to make fat loss feel much easier and less miserable. Now, the first thing to understand when you're trying to lose weight and lose body fat is calories are king. They're the number one most important thing, and they are what determine whether you lose weight, stay the same weight, or gain weight. Calories is the prime dictator of weight loss, and number 2 and also number 3 will help fat loss. Slightly different things, which we'll go into, but before that, I want to run you through exactly what we've got here so you can completely see it. So, Red Rooster, Pepsi, large chips, and a chili aioli flavor wrap. By the way, this wrap by itself is 1,200 calories. That is absurd. On this side, here we have the breakfast meal, which is overnight Weet-Bix, and cameraman Cooks will throw up all the stuff on screen for you. So if you want to try this meal plan, if your calories are around this amount, boom, perfect. You got a perfect meal plan ready to go. If your calories are lower or higher, you can use the calorie calculator in the description to figure them out, and then you can increase or decrease the amounts of this food as well. So you could follow this. Anyways, overnight Weet-Bix. In here we have Weet-Bix, a YoPro, or we put a Banoffee, what are they called? Paul's protein yogurt. They're all about the same calories. On top, mixed berries. You could top that with cinnamon as well if you wanted to. That's really good. We have 2 chicken wraps on the Simpsons lower calorie wraps with chicken breast, lettuce, some salads, and some low calorie sauce. We have a Pepsi Max, so you can still enjoy your Pepsi, pretty much 0 calories. Here we have 3 thin rice cakes, 1 boiled egg. I was meant to slice up and put on the rice cakes, but I just didn't. 2 mandarins, so that'd be a pretty good snack, or a few snacks you could space throughout the day. We just have another throughout the day protein yogurt. This one's from Audi, the Yaguri. The main meal of the day is this bad boy right here. This burger and chips. We have half a kilo of spotlight potato. This cameraman Cook's go-to dinner, so this is why we did this. 500 grams spotlight potato, which as you can see is a shitload. Zeus hair on it, sorry bro. Extra flavor. There's an extra lean beef patty in there. There's a brioche bun. Yeah, bit of salads in there. That bad boy is elite dinner. And then for dessert, we have a spliced lime, which is absolutely melted while I was setting up this video, but that was a spliced lime or a paddle pop. And then we have one of these, which I've been having, little pre-workout carbs, little Nesquik bar. These are pretty bomb, to be honest. They're like 73 calories or something off the top of my head each. And that full day of eating, like I said, just under 2,000 calories, tons of protein there is key, and then the same amount of calories, 1,900. Absolutely absurd. Now, if you're brand new to this, or you've been tracking your calories or following a plan and you're not making progress, we need to figure out your set target for calories. So you're gonna have what's called your TDEE, or think about it, maintenance calories, meaning you eat this much, you stay the exact same weight. So right now, if you're not losing weight and you're not gaining weight, that means across the week, you're eating at maintenance. So whatever you're doing, you're eating what your body needs to maintain. We need to eat less than that when the goal is weight loss and fat loss. You can, again, if you want, use the calculator in the description, it's free, or just Google TDEE calculator, plug your details in. That will actually give you your calorie deficit. Some of them will give you maintenance. If you select maintenance, you want to take about 20% off that number, or about 500 calories, and then use that as your starting target. So let's say your maintenance calories are 2,300, take around 500 calories off, start eating around 1,800, you'll be good to go. That's how you're going to stay in a deficit and lose weight. So that's the first key. Now, the second key, which is arguably just as important, but calories, you need to nail those first, is your daily protein target. Without eating high protein, it's going to be very hard, because protein keeps you fuller for longer, so you're going to get more hungry than you would if you didn't have high protein. Worded that absolutely terribly. Number 2, you're going to maintain, and if you're weight training hard, ideally even build a little bit more muscle, so that's why high protein is key. And then number 3, a laundry list of health benefits. In terms of how much protein you want to eat per day, most of the calculators will give you like a pretty decent rough ballpark, to be honest, so you could use that. Or if you want to be more specific, you want to be eating around 1.6 grams to 2 grams per kilogram of your body weight. So let's say you weigh 80 kilograms, you could eat up to 160 grams protein per day, or you could go a little bit less than that. How you determine how little or high to go is going to be based on food preferences. If you love protein, like me and cameraman Cooks, we actually go above 2 grams, which is not a bad thing at all. If you already struggle to get protein in, like you find it really hard, then you're probably going to want to start closer to that 1.6 gram per kilogram body weight, because this is going to be easier for you to hit. And then if you get hungrier in the deficit, you can then increase your protein a bit, take the calories from carbs or fats or something like that. In terms of how much protein you need each meal, honestly, honestly, don't worry about it. Don't think too far ahead. I think that's a massive mistake people make, is like what I always say, trying to race a Formula One car before you know how to drive. Let's drive first, get good at that, then make our way to the Formula One track. If you can have protein in every meal, it will just make it easier and more consistent, because it'll keep your hunger levels and appetite probably a little bit more stable and steady throughout the days, which will make it easier to stick to. So every decision you make after, like, we got your calories, you got your protein, all of the food decisions is going to have to fit into your schedule, your lifestyle. Like, think of it through the lens of what will make it easier for me to stick to. That is the number one key, which, to be honest, the pyramid for progress would start with sustainable, in terms of, can you follow this on an ongoing basis? And if the answer is no, you need to go back to the drawing board and figure that out. That's why most people, you're probably looking at this food going, that looks pretty damn tasty, and it is, and it's insanely simple to make as well. Like, very fast, easy, grab and go snacks, you're good to go. So you look at it through that sustainability lens, and then you step up in the pyramid to calories, and then you step up to protein, and that's pretty much where we got to now. Look through that lens and be like, can I stick to this? If yes, keep going. If no, come back to the drawing board. For a quick example on this meal, all the three main meals, so the brekkie, the lunch, the dinner, all have a solid amount of protein. And then even the grab and go snacks, 15-ish grams. Boiled egg has like 6, so paired together, 20-ish, 22, something like that. And then the only snack that doesn't have protein is the dessert, which is totally fine, super low calorie, and the Nesquik bar, which is just a nice little carb bar. I'd probably have that before training if you can, but if not, all good. And then yeah, you're good to go. Those are the two most important things for weight loss and fat loss. Fat loss also, by the way, the protein, that's what's gonna dictate the weight from body fat with training. So you can lose weight on the scale, but if you don't eat high protein and you don't train, you're gonna lose a bunch of muscle with that as well, which, if you don't care about that, cool, but I think that most people probably do, and you probably should for health reasons as well. But anyway, if you just lose weight on the scale and you lose a bunch of muscle, you'll generally just get smaller, but that's usually where people fall into the skinny fat trap. And they're like, I've lost, 6, 7, 8 kilos, 10 kilos, whatever, but I don't look how I wanna look. I look soft. That's the skinny fat look, and the reason for that is usually you skipped key number 2, which is high protein, and the most important thing is you skipped the training, which is a video for a whole other day. That's what you need to make sure you don't get a skinny fat look. And that's the difference between losing fat on the scale and just losing weight, which also will be a bunch of muscle as well, which is what we don't want. But if you nail those two things, you've done 90% of the work. You're literally ahead of the majority of people, and you'll be making killer progress. The third thing, which is just gonna again make it easier to stick to, is food volume and fiber. Now, the good thing is both of those things kind of go hand in hand. So for example, Wheat Bix, even these wraps actually have like a good chunk of fiber, and they're low calorie. Spudlight potatoes, or just potatoes in general, fruits, veggies, to be honest, we could probably add a bit more veggies in this if you wanted to. That type of stuff, good amount of fiber, which, as you can see, so much food volume right there. Like, all of those chips are only 250 calories. Like, that's insane. And you're gonna get so much food volume, so much fiber, and what that does is it's gonna help you stay fuller for longer, which is gonna make you stick to it easier, because hunger's a massive reason why a lot of people quit the deficit or fly off and end up smashing something like that, because they get hungry all the time. And then if you're also hungry all the time, your cravings are probably higher as well. So food volume and fiber helps that. Your best fibrous foods, most of them are like veggies and carbs. And that's another reason why I always tell people, don't take carbs out your diet. It's silly, all right? Just don't do it. Your best fiber is gonna come from carbs. So oats, potatoes, fruits, all that good shit. And as we can clearly see, the food volume this full day for one meal, which we all know we would smash that, and within an hour, 2 hours tops, you're gonna be hungry again, and you've eaten an entire day of eating in one go. The other thing I wanna chuck on here is, this is the most common thing I think I get in DMs and questions and stuff. A calorie deficit doesn't work for me, or I'm in a calorie deficit and I'm not losing weight. That's physically impossible. This is usually a massive reason for that. So like we were talking about calories before, let's say we went in a 500 calorie deficit, okay? Imagine if you have this on top of your normal day of eating, you've wiped out 4, if you're in a smaller deficit, maybe even 5 days of progress. That's enough to cook your week, basically, as I like to call it, and just make the progress so small that it feels like you're not making any at all, because it's gonna be a snail pace. And after a few weeks, you're like, fuck this, it doesn't work. And if you're thinking, well, I'll just work out more, or I'll just increase my energy expenditure, you cannot out-train a bad diet like this. Don't get me wrong, all the extra movement, it will help. All the extra training and stuff you do, it'll help overall, but you can't out-train it. Me and Cameraman Cooks have tried. We made a video about it, and it was fucking brutal. You can't do it. Yeah, we spent a whole day training it. That was fucked. Hopefully you can see you don't have to follow this miserable, no carb, you can't eat fruit, you can't eat sugar, like none of that. I've seen this for decades, and I've been there myself years and years and years ago. The more you restrict stuff out of your diet, the more you're gonna want it, and the more you're gonna end up just having mad binges like this, and just getting stuck in this restrict, binge, repeat cycle. And it's a shit show. You definitely don't want to get stuck in that. And in saying that, you don't have to fully cut fast food out of your diet. You don't have to stop eating out. We just have to limit it, down. Maybe if you're doing it a lot already, we need to taper it down a bit. And then we just need to learn how to make smart choices for this. So you can get a red rooster feed for a quarter of the calories with a decent amount of protein. So there's always going to be good choices, and we post those videos all the time. So if you want to check out, instead of me rambling on even more, if you want to check out a full fast food video where we rank the top 5 best and worst choices, and check out this video here. Hopefully that was helpful, and if not, I'm deeply, deeply sorry, but I think it will be.